What's up everyone, I'm VCI Gaming and welcome to another episode of Oxygen Not Included builds for the agricultural update. So what I have here is another power station that doesn't use a gas geyser. Now guys, I really like this concept because sometimes the geysers are just too far away in the beginning of the game, right? So basically it's a 3-to-1 ratio, and then the power circuits and stuff like that, and the net power. So it takes 3 fertilizer makers for each one of these geysers. This pump can pump enough gas to 5 of these. It can actually do more, but it doesn't really matter. This is this whole system will net you about 1100 kilojoules, about 2000 watts, a little bit more, but it's kind of hard to pull the rest of the power out of it. So basically, let's start it up. It's going to take a couple of dupes. You can do it with one, but I like to speed up the process. Now also what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a little bit of natural gas in here just to speed it up that much more for sakes of this video. This will happen without the ability to paint, because obviously you don't have it in the game, right? This will work though as soon as these guys wake up. They're always sleeping, right? Let me show you guys the electrical grid. So basically the top 3 circuits are for the internal components, and this is just about enough. It even affords you a filter here. Now I know it's not necessary when you're in debug mode, but realistically when you apply this to a real game, what's going to happen is this is going to be filled with only natural gas at first, so it's kind of good to have this filter. I have it go into a void here. You can use the gas that come out here any way you wish. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful sight? Almost the perfect distribution of gases through each of the pipes and to each one of the natural gas generators. This is really good. Like I said, this pretty much gets you 2 lines out. So these trees, let me show you. These 3 transformers here are used for internal power. These 2 transformers have output lines, and that's your entire net. I'll pretty much play this through an entire cycle, and I'll show you the net from the reports. This is pretty cool though. This system does use polluted water, and you will have to find that somewhere. It uses clean water as well, not as much as this circuit right here. Won't go on until this gas pressure in here is above 1500. What's cool about this system is, as far as cooling, it's water cooled by its own water, and these lines right here of tile actually make a water seal so that the natural gas will stay on the right. In the beginning some will spill to here, it doesn't matter. It'll stay here. Now once this gets to critical mass, it will never actually change values as far as density is concerned, and this will always work. This will always produce enough fertilizer for these machines. It won't overpressure, and it will always run once it gets started. We're actually at that point here where I can kind of turn these off so this doesn't mess up the nets. So what I'm basically going to do now is let this play through a cycle, and I'll show you the net results in the report after it's done. I'll probably speed it up or just straight up skip it. Alright, so here we are with the final result. We've netted 1015.6 kilojoules. Now this number will vary a little bit between cycles. It never really goes below 1000. So you can basically 100% of the time count on these 2 lines being having what they should, which is 1000. Yeah, so now let me show you how big this can actually scale. Awesome. Okay, so here we are at scale. Now theoretically this scales infinitely as large as the map. What I've done is ran a 5x multiple. Now this pretty much maxes out pretty much an entire heavy watt wire. So hooking up more heavy watt wire would actually be dangerous. Now let me tell you the components. 75 fertilizer makers, 25 natural gas generators, 100 batteries, and this nets about 10,000 watts, roughly about 6,000 kilojoules, something about that. And it has 10 wires. That's the net output. Each of these carries 1,000 watts. Imagine what you could do with all that. So for time's sake, I'm going to paint some methane into each one of these things like I did with the normal scale one. Well, normal, but the first scale. This is more normal for me. I love building stuff like this. So I'll paint these in. Now this system does start up the same way as this one. Now I've used my super duper human powers to go back in time and disable this so it doesn't mess with our net result. Like the previous one, this will take 3 duplicants to start up. You could do it with 1. For time's sake, I'll use 3. So this is basically the same system down here, just 5 of them running on top of each other. You get 5 times the output basically. So basically the same thing happens. These duplicants will power up the critical systems, which will make the natural gas. Like I said, this natural gas painting isn't available in games, but this system is built where this will work. It just will take a little bit longer. what happens is these systems start to gain power. The net will gain power immediately, although I don't suggest using it until this is fully operational. So basically the only difference between this large power plant and this small one down here is that the heavy watt wires are connected here, which makes this one system. This generates a lot of power and a whole lot of fertilizer. Like, I'll be honest, you'll never need fertilizer or power ever again after you build one of these. Now while this is kind of starting up, I want to tell you something that's probably cool. The system down here, so say you build this system here, you'll need water and polluted water to, you know, get this system working, right? So you're gonna need a bunch of pumps to do that. Basically you can use this system here, the net output, and use that to run the pumps. You probably have like a reservoir tank in your map for each polluted and clean water, and you can kind of use the electricity from here to pump that water into this system so you can get a whole bunch more power. Let me show you the gas overlay here. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Still not running 100% operational yet, but it will. It's probably filtering out some of the gases. Now I have some of the outputs, like the previous one, the smaller one, going to avoid just for simplicity's sake. Yeah, but pretty much this will net a whole bunch of power. I mean, I will speed up the cycle. I'll let this run for an entire cycle, and then I'll show you guys the results. But this is pretty much amazing. Alright, so here we are with the final result. We've netted 5,267.8 kilojoules, which is over 10,000 watts. Cool information here. The entire system has created almost 12,000 kilojoules, and it took about 6,700 kilojoules to run the internal components, which is a lot. Now, the net 5,267.8 kilojoules, 10,000 watts. This is enough power for your entire base. Even at endgame, the endgame that exists, you can create artificial environments for farming. There's just countless things you can do with this much power. I do plan on scaling this up even further in another video. I think that my only problem is going to be the heavy watt wire, because it does max out at 20,000 volts, and with systems like this, they're very large and it's pretty much pushing the max on what can be done with that. But I'm going to see if there's any tricks that can be done to kind of mitigate that and really scale this. Maybe I'll make the whole map a giant fertilizer maker and stuff like that. But anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. A lot more videos coming your way. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.